Don't you just hate the way men take you for granted?
Yeah.
Never asking what you want to do.
Yeah.
Always thinking that they're right.
Yeah. Never admitting that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they are, it's always our fault.
Oh, tell it, sister.
When they're lost, they don't even stop to ask for directions.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Men! Who needs them?
Free at last. Free at last. Great God Almighty, free at last.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to
Ayo. Oh, hey.
the Who's the Boss podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Kevin.
We are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss. Today we're going to cover Season 5, Episode 6. The title is Double Dump. It first aired on Tuesday, December 6th, 1988, and the TV Guide summary says, advice from Angela prompts Mona and Samantha to have a night out on the town after being dumped by their steadies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not at all what I have here.
No. Oh, you've got... Okay, go ahead. Read it.
Well, okay. Jesse Nash is warmly welcomed back by Tony after an ecologist boat trip. However, he met a fellow idealist girl and politely dumps selfish Sam, who acts aloof. When Mona gets stood up too, a week of men bashing follows. Finally, the celibacy converts, thank you, go out for a girls only night together and regain perspective.
So the controversy is that the summary describes both of them as celibacy converts. But as far as we know, Samantha is celibate.
Now, Mona, on the other hand.
Yes. Plus, Samantha's still a child. Although it's not unusual that a 16-year-old now or in the 80s would have been having sex. But as far as we know, Samantha is not having sex with anyone.
Yeah.
So let's just... I think these are translated. So maybe it was like something, that translated to the word celibate.
Something is lost in translation.
Yes. Okay, so this episode was written by Eric Gilliland. This is his first episode of 3. So he wrote Double Dump. He will write Men Are People 2. Men Are People 2. TOO, not the number 2. What's wrong?
Nothing. That name is familiar.
Well, the reason why I think because
and the cat is just screaming in the background. Get out of here! I fed you.
I think the reason you think the name is familiar is because of Richard Gilliland, who, and I looked up to see if they were related, and as far as I can tell, they are not.
Oh, okay, all right.
But Richard Gilliland was an actor and the husband of Jean Smart, who recently passed away at the beginning of 2021.
You're right. Okay, yeah. That's why then. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Eric wrote a total of 3 episodes: Double Dump, Men Are People 2, and then Supermom Burnout.
I look forward to those other episodes that I knew nothing about.
When this episode opens, Samantha comes flying in the kitchen door, and she's very excited because Jesse's going to be back in 5 minutes. Now, we haven't heard from Jesse.
I know,
or
out of
about
nowhere.
Jesse. We haven't even heard the word Jesse, the name, since prom night 2, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it's because when they're breaking these episodes out, or like they're doing the season, they don't have the whole, like, I don't know that they necessarily know that Jesse's going to be back until they decide this story idea. So maybe they just don't bring them up to leave it open.
Yeah.
She's like, he's going to be here in 5 minutes. I got to go upstairs, wash my face, put on a new sweater. So when the doorbell rings, please answer the door. Thanks so much. And then she's like, okay, bye, and runs away.
Right.
And Tony says, from now on, we buy only caffeine-free cola. And Angela's in the kitchen, too, and she's like, oh, the boyfriend returns from the sea.
The sea.
How adventurous. How romantic. What?
Nothing. No, nothing. Just funny.
And Tony's like, of course Angela's making this very romantic.
Right.
And Tony's like, how smelly. He was in the Atlantic sucking up oil slicks. So he was on some sort of volunteer goodwill field trip.
Yeah.
Now, Mona walks in. She's all dressed up. This is the episode of Boyfriends we haven't heard of in a while. So then she's like, what do you think? And Tony's like, oh, you look beautiful. And then he says, nice gams.
Gams.
Legs. I looked it up. It's a slang for legs, especially attractive female legs.
Oh, nice gams.
Nice
it does
gams.
not sound attractive.
No, it makes me think of yams.
Yeah, exactly. Gams.
Which makes me think of sweet
good.
potatoes, which make me not think of sexy legs.
Yeah, that's a lot that you... Yams, gams.
Well, it always
yams,
goes to food, of course. But then, like, I'm picturing sweet potatoes as legs.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I see what you're saying now. And that's not attractive.
She is dressed to go out on a date with Max. Who knew Max was still around?
I know. I thought Max was done.
Yeah, I thought
gone.
she dumped him after she didn't want to marry him. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, I think she just kept him around.
Yeah. So she says that this is. Oh no, I'm sorry. She's going over her outfit and she's like, what do you think? How do I look? And Angela says, I love that outfit. And Mona's like, I don't know, just something isn't right. And Angela's like, I really love the scarf. And she's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
She takes the scarf off. Mona says this is the first anniversary of their 4th kiss.
Wow, who keeps track of that?
Well, Angela says, what's so special about that? And she says it lasted 2 days.
Ah, there you go.
So it's the first anniversary of the first time they had sex, probably.
For 2 days.
For 2 days.
Meanwhile, he's no spring chicken.
No, good. I mean, yeah, there might have been some medical intervention
Back
there
then?
to help him.
I don't know.
Really? They didn't have Viagra in the 80s?
I don't remember. I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Cialis? I don't know.
Something.
No, nothing?
All right. I don't know
right.
Viagra, but Viagra.
Spanish fly? I don't know. Isn't that like...
Spanish fly, right.
So Tony's leaving the kitchen and he says, Mona, keep an eye on my buns. He's got something in the oven. And Mona instead stares at his tushy as he walks out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then
that's Mona.
Angela gets up and steps in between them. Like, stop looking at my man's tushy.
Right.
But really, she's like, stop sexually harassing the man that we pay as our housekeeper, who is also our friend and someone we love. Look at Angela's outfit.
I know. I don't understand what's happening.
It's a sweater set.
I know, but I don't know how to say this nicely, but it doesn't make her look good. It's not flatter.
Not flattering?
Not flattering.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
It kind of reminds me of UFOs.
UFOs.
Yeah, like the little gray things in the sky.
yeah,
it
I
looks
guess
like
so.
it's like a little UFO.
Well, I know what a UFO is.
No, I'm saying
little
the
gray
little-
thing in the sky.
I'm saying the gray shapes on the
Yeah,
sweater
right,
look
yes,
like
yeah.
little.
I think
gray
they're supposed to
things
be
in
like
the
clouds,
sky.
though.
Yeah, probably. It also kind of reminds me of like a video game.
Yeah,
like I'm
okay.
waiting for Super Mario to come popping in there and
Yeah, I
bounce
know.
on one of those rocks. Yeah, very interesting. I don't think I like it. Very
No.
large shoulder pads. So Tony runs into the living room and he answers the door. Jesse is standing there.
Ahoy, matey. He says.
Yes, he says, ahoy, matey, welcome ashore. Boy, am I happy to see you. Oh, boy, Sam is going to be happy to see you.
Right.
And
I think you had it right the first time, though.
I did.
He was happy to see
Oh,
him.
okay.
No, I'm just saying
No, you're
that.
right. I think you're right.
But it does say Sam is going to be happy to see you. But I'm
Oh,
saying...
I see what
think-
you're saying. I thought you said
Right.
I got it. Oh,
No,
yes,
I don't...
exactly.
Sorry. I'll
Now,
just stop talking.
There are two things we noticed here.
What's that?
One...
Oh, yeah. I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, Scott Bloom has grown about 4 inches.
I mean, it's
since we first
insane.
met him.
He's
Yes.
probably... And we went back and looked tonight.
We did, yeah. To his first episode.
On what was the name of that episode?
New Kid in
New
Town?
Kid in Town. He's probably about 2 or 3 inches shorter than Tony Danza.
Yeah.
And I would say here he's about 2 or 3 inches taller. Or would you think more?
I don't know, not more. I would
He's
say
definitely...
like about 2
he's
inches
tall.
taller than Tony Danza here.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, for sure.
And then the other thing
And his mullet's
is
about
the
2 or 3
sweet
inches longer.
Yes, the sweet mullet. Yeah.
It is aggressive.
So he's like, "Great to see you, Tony. I mean, Mr. Micelli." And Tony's like, "What, Mr. Micelli? What are you talking about? It's me, Jesse. I'm your pal. I'm Tony." And Jesse says, "I would be more comfortable with Mr. Micelli." So Tony's suspicious now. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, I can't really explain it because Jesse doesn't want to tell his girlfriend's dad that he's
Right.
breaking up with her before he
Right.
tells his girlfriend. So, but Tony keeps pushing it, of course, in Tony style. And he's like, we're buddies. You can tell me anything. If something is eating at you, I want to know about it. And he says, I'm breaking up with Sam. Then Tony puts him in a headlock and says, what are you talking about? And Jesse's like...
I like he says that's Mr. Micelli.
Right, yeah, because Jesse's like, I'm sorry, Tony. He says, that's Mr. Micelli to you.
All of a sudden,
right.
it's all changed.
So Jesse says, I just felt like it was the end of our relationship. And then Tony's like, well, is it me? Which, isn't that far off base. It
Right.
could be Tony.
It really
in
could
some
be.
situations.
It really could be.
And Jesse's like, no. But Tony says, I can change, really. I promise. And Jesse says, I found someone else. So now Tony sits down. Jesse explains that she was on the same boat with him and they share a lot of the same dreams and the same goals and the fervent commitment to world peace and international harmony.
Okay. Which Tony says, who cares?
Right, yeah. Who cares? What about my Samantha's feelings?
No.
This does suck.
It does.
Getting broken up with always sucks. Now, Samantha comes downstairs looking adorable. I really like the jeans that she has on look like jeans that you could wear today.
Yeah, it's true.
Because the high waist is back and I feel like they're not super skinny.
No.
So yeah, I feel like these are back in style right now.
Even the sweater's not
Yeah.
off.
I would say the pattern of the sweater, not so much, but the cut of the sweater for sure you could get away with today. So she comes downstairs and she's like, I've missed you. She gives him a big hug and he hugs her back. And then she's like, okay, Dad, like you can leave the living room now. So he gets up and he's like, all right, I'll be right in the kitchen. I'm right over here if you need me. Just right behind this door. So Sam's thinking that he's worried they're going to start making out. So she says, we're not going to do anything. And he says, I know.
I know.
So then he goes into the kitchen and he says, my baby's getting dumped. He tells Angela and Mona that.
Yeah.
So he sits down and then they cut back to Jesse and Samantha in the living room. And she's like, I'm so excited you're here. I have so many plans. First, we're going to go over to Bonnie's. And then Jesse kind of cuts her off and he's like, before you make any other plans, I have to talk to you. She says, happy talk or uh-oh talk? And then just by the way he's pausing, she knows. And she's like, uh-oh. They intercut this between them and then back into the kitchen. So in the kitchen, Angela's like, poor Sam. She's been looking forward to Jesse coming home for weeks.
Ugh.
And Tony's like, I knew
Even though we've not heard anything at all.
Yes. We haven't seen any of this excitement, but while we weren't looking, Sam was very excited for Jesse to come home.
Yeah.
He's like, I knew she was too young to get involved. I should have never let her start dating until she got married.
Until she got married.
Then Mona says, I think you can only do that in Utah. Tony says, this is tragic. And let me tell you something. The first breakup is a killer. But Angela's like, no, it's the third. Angela has experience with this. She's like, the first one hurts, but it's just one of those things. And then the second one, you figure it's bad luck. Then the third, you start to think it's you. And Mona says, it was you. Thanks, Mom.
Always.
Yeah, but Mona gets up. She's like, don't worry about this, Tony. She'll be over this in no time. It just needs a little time to heal. He says, you really think so, Mona? And she's like, sure. She'll be back in the saddle and riding the range again.
Oh, yeah. So that's a reference to the Back in the Saddle Again lyrics by Gene Autry.
Oh, okay.
Or song by Gene Autry.
Yes.
Because in the song, the lyrics are, I'm back in the saddle again, and then in the second verse, he says, riding the range once more.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then then Tony says, whoa, Trigger, I don't want our trails to be that happy.
Let's see, and then that's another song.
Right.
That I
Happy
think
Trails.
Happy Trails
And
by
who's
Roy-
Trigger? I don't even know.
Trigger, I think is
Was that
is
the horse,
Roy
maybe?
Rogers' horse or somebody's horse?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's different songs, but kind of like that same...
It's like that same old Western
Right.
song.
Yeah.
I mean, they all blend into each other.
Right. But Tony doesn't want Samantha to be riding any range. So
Right. No, he doesn't want her back in any saddles.
Right,
or
no.
ranges
He wants her to
or
stay away from saddles, stay away from
ranges.
cowboys, horses, anything.
All that stuff.
Now upstairs, Sam's putting clothes away in the closet. Okay, so not only are those jeans adorable, but they're the old like Guess jeans with the triangle on the back pocket.
Those are my favorite back in the day.
Yes, those were coveted. I probably really wanted a pair of those.
Yeah.
So she's putting clothes away, and Tony comes in and he says that he's made some manicotti for her, which I didn't look that up, but I'm assuming it's something with pasta. Manicotti? Something with...
Well, manicotti is a pasta dish, right?
Yeah, I think so. Pasta with... I'm going to guess...
It's like some kind of cheese
ricotta
situation.
Cheese and sauce. Yeah. And he asks her if she wants some. She's like, no, thanks. And she's like, I'm pretty busy. I've got a week's worth of clothes to put away. So that's what she's doing. He must bring her clothes to the room, and then she just leaves them all over the place instead of putting them away like a child. And he's like, it's actually 2 weeks, but, who's counting? So he wants to talk about Jessie, and she doesn't. So we've noticed this pattern with Sam, where she has a real avoidance to anything that has to do with feelings. But I can't say I blame her, because the girl's had a lot of tragedy in her life and not a lot of therapy.
Right.
So this is how Sam deals with stuff. She doesn't want to talk about it. And he's like, I know that you're upset. She's like, these things happen. And she says, actually, I'm relieved. I was going to give him his walking papers, but he just beat me to it.
Oh, is that right?
Right, yeah. You could tell by how excited she was jumping down the stairs. But she can't let, she's got to be tough, and she can't let anyone know that how hurt she actually is here. Tony's like, well, yeah, I guess it's good. You'll have more time to spend with your friends, more time to spend with me. And then she gives him a look, and he's like, okay, well, with your friends. And she's like, yeah, I'm actually really excited. Now, if you don't mind, I've got stuff to do. So he's like, okay. And then he's like, but before I leave, let me just say, every dark cloud has a silver lining. What I'm trying to say is that it's always darkest just before the dawn. What I mean is the sun will come out tomorrow.
Oh, no, so it's ridiculous.
He's trying so hard. He's like, I'm using a lot of cliches, aren't I? And she says, bet your bottom dollar.
Yeah. That's pretty quick.
Now, the cute thing about this is that Alyssa Milano's very first acting was Annie. She was an orphan in the stage production of Annie.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And so he's like, okay. And then he goes to leave, and he says, all right, one more thing just before I go. Every door that closes, another one opens. And she's like, well, you close the door.
Yeah,
and he
close
leaves.
that door.
Yeah. Now, outside of her room, there are 2 pictures, and it's fruit. But I'm pretty sure that before, when we've seen the exterior of that door, they were butterflies. But I did not go back and look. But I'm pretty sure they used to be butterflies.
They updated it.
Yeah, so what happened? Did they lose the butterflies at some point? So they were like, oh, crap. Well, we've got these 2 pictures of fruit. And then they just put them there
We've got these
instead.
2 pictures of fruit. Put these up there.
God forbid any of these walls had family photos on
them. I know. But how do you navigate that,
Yeah.
Family photos.
That's true. This is a tough one in this house because, who's in the photo?
Tony's just an employee, so
yeah.
Can he hang up pictures of his family?
Yeah, but at this point, I feel like Angela would have the picture printed for him, put it in a frame, and hang it on the wall.
That's true.
So it is surprising that they don't have more. The only thing and obviously it's easier for, continuity purposes that this stuff usually stay the same. But the only time they have family photos up is when they're used as a plot point, like when the picture of Jonathan and Angela were there when he was trying to make out with that girl.
Yeah, that's so true.
Now downstairs, it's later that evening, and they're eating the manicotti that Sam doesn't want.
Which manicotti, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you want to know what it is.
Sure.
I'm surprised you don't know. Your mom would be very disappointed.
She's probably upset right now, yeah.
Disappointed in you. Manicotti, literally, little sleeve is what manicotti means. Which I'm about to explain to you why.
Please.
It is an Italian-American form of pasta. Manicotti are very large pasta tubes, like sleeves. Usually rigid. It's exactly, I'll be honest with you, for once, is exactly what I thought it was, but I didn't want to say anything because I figured I'd be wrong. But they're intended to be stuffed and baked, filled generally with ricotta cheese, which you would hate.
Yes.
And mixed with cooked chopped spinach and possibly ground meat, such as veal. So I know I've had manicotti before, so that's why.
It kind of sounds like stuffed shells.
It's very similar.
Yeah, which
and
I
would
do
love
like,
it.
even though it has a lot of ricotta.
I know
in
you
it.
don't like ricotta.
Yeah,
though.
not a lot. Like some I don't mind.
I think
but when
manicotti
it's-
is pretty much ricotta,
Okay, then no. I'm not
spinach,
interested.
and like meat
Yeah.
or something.
No, thank you.
Anyway,
I'll have a stromboli instead.
stromboli.
So Angela says, Tony, you got to eat. And he's like, well, if Sam's not eating, I'm not eating. And then Jonathan, so it's just the three of them having dinner.
I know.
Because I guess Mona's out on her date with Max. And Jonathan gets up and he's like, if I got dumped by a girl, I wouldn't be that upset. But I've got cable.
Jonathan's got his priorities in the right place as far as I'm concerned.
And this is probably like when cable was brand new.
I know, yeah, right.
So he's pretty excited about all these
Well,
channels.
not brand new, but
Well, not
probably-
brand new, but...
I mean, I remember having cable as a kid
Oh, okay.
in New York
Yeah, I guess so. But maybe not
when
everybody.
I was like 5.
Okay. All right, then never mind.
No, but I mean, like,
but maybe just
cable
like
is
the
probably
amount
very-
of channels.
Right.
Like-
Then, yeah.
Because
for
MTV
sure.
wasn't around until like 1985, so we're at 1988 now. So, there's...
The level of cable was probably intense.
Oh, no, wait. Maybe MTV was a little earlier than that because...
1982, I think, or 84.
Oh, no. I think it is... that makes
I'll
sense.
find out. 1981.
Okay, yeah. 81.
So you're way off.
I was off, and I should know this because an email
Well, I
went out
just
at
remember
work
being
saying that it's the 40th anniversary.
It is.
That's the name.
40th
Yeah.
would be 81.
Yeah. Okay. Angela stops him and she's like,
Mm-hmm.
honey, you can't replace people with cable. He says you can when you have 58 channels. But Jonathan hasn't gotten dumped yet. Will we...
It's actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's at the point that we're recording this podcast, which is August 1st.
Yeah.
It is August 1st, 1981.
Oh,
so
okay.
MTV is exactly 40 years old today.
Nice. That explains the email that went out.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you
that I
again.
apparently didn't read the
But I
whole
thought
thing
that was
because I wasn't
fascinating.
sure what the date
40
was.
years. Wow. God.
Yeah. So that means I was 5.
8.
What?
No, I was 8.
Oh, okay. Right. Yes, you were 8. I was 5. So Sam does come downstairs, and she gets a plate out. She sits in Jonathan's seat, which is funny because if she were to sit in the empty seat where her plate is, we now would see the back of her head. So, for blocking reasons, Alyssa Milano needs to sit in Jonathan's seat, so then she
Right,
just
so you
takes
can-
the plate,
right.
yeah, and puts it on hers. And then, but this puts her next to Angela as opposed to next to Tony.
And
But
Angela's still wearing this terrible
She
outfit with
is,
the
'cause it's,
with the gray clouds
I
and
know. It's all the same day, but I
I
am
know,
really
but-
enjoying Angela's hair this year. It's just not quite as shellacked as
Yeah.
it has been in the
yeah,
past.
that's true. And Angela's really ripping into that manicotti. She likes it.
Of course, she loves Tony's cooking.
I know.
And she loves pasta. Who doesn't? So Tony's very excited to see Smith. And he's like, oh, hi, are you feeling better? And Sam's like, Dad, I told you I'm fine. And I'm just very hungry. So Tony
So
says...
he gives her 3 tubes of manicotti, one after the other. There's no way
she's going to eat all
a girl
that.
her size is going to
Yeah.
eat all of that manicotti.
I know, but he's used to feeding Angela, who deceptively can eat more than she looks
I
like
guess
she
so.
would be able
I
to.
guess so. God.
And he's like, did you hear this, Angela? She's hungry. So Angela says, I remember on the road to recovery, I used to eat tons too.
The road to recovery.
And then,
I don't want to know about it.
but then Angela's like, every time I got hungry. Like she's trying to catch herself. Now, just then, Mona comes in.
Yeah.
And Tony says, hey, Mona, what do you say? And she says, I say men are scum.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. Things did not go well with
It
Max.
didn't. It didn't.
She says they're filthy, testosterone-filled balls of slime. Wow. They all kind of like, Sam's looking at her like, yeah, you're actually right. Tony's looking at her like he's a little scared. And Angela just seems concerned. But Tony's like, it never bothered you before. So,
Oh, I like that Angela says, did you and Max have one of your little tiffs?
tiffs, yeah.
Tiffs? Who says that? Who
Angela.
uses tiffs?
And then Mona says, my tiffs are not little. And Angela's
I
like,
think
oh,
she's
dear
confused
God.
about what word she was using. I think. I don't know. Tiffs? I said tiffs.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even put it together that way, but that's probably exactly
Yeah,
what they were
exactly.
going for.
That's what I thought. That's immediately where my head went.
Yes. Mona says, there we were finishing an incredibly romantic dinner.
And that's exactly what she thought, because the look on Angela's face, she puts her head in her hand like, oh my God.
I can't believe you just said that.
I know.
In front of a child.
Right, sorry.
She says we were finishing this incredibly romantic dinner, slowly licking creme brulee off of each other's fingers.
Oh, why?
I know,
No,
that's
that's disgusting.
Nobody wants to do that.
No.
And do you know what Max wanted to do next? This is one of my favorite parts. Tony covers Samantha's ears, and then he says, what? And she says he wanted to go home and watch Carson. So when he realizes that that's the answer, he's like, oh. And so he takes his hands off of Samantha's ears, and he says he wanted to go home and watch Carson.
I know he yells it. You know what's fun? Like he's still covering her ears.
Right.
But what's it? I mean, the guy's not young. Maybe some nights he just wants to go home and watch
Neither of them are young.
Carson and relax. I mean, maybe he can't go to Pound Town every night. Got to relax.
Well, that probably would have led to. I mean, everybody has had sex during those late shows.
Yeah, I guess
Did
so.
anyone actually watch them?
I don't know.
But what happened to Max's child?
I don't know.
We're
that
just
kid.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he didn't have the kid tonight.
They're
I don't
just
know.
going out all the time. Doesn't matter. Mona wanted to go to Africa for an after dinner drink. And Tony's like, can't you just get a nightcap in Jersey? But Samantha's like, no, Dad, it's this hot new club in the city. And he's like, oh, that Africa. Then Mona says, I was right in the middle of telling him he was a gum-flapping old coot when he stood up, gave me the key back to my apartment, and walked off.
Wow.
Can you check what the word coot means? Because now I'm worried I'm saying something disgusting.
No, I don't think. I mean, if they said it in the show.
Well, I mean, yeah, but sometimes they like have.
I don't know.
See pictures of birds.
Well, it says an aquatic coot, an aquatic bird in the rail family with blackish plumage and lobbed feet, and a bill that extends back to the forehead as a horny shield. What the hell does that mean?
I don't know, but okay.
Wait,
okay.
Definition number 2.
Hang on.
A foolish or eccentric person, typically an old man.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
I think she went for number 2, not number 1.
I was just making sure it wasn't something racial that we didn't know about.
No, it's just a foolish or eccentric person, typically an old man.
So Sam gets up to comfort her, and she's like, oh, Mona, you got dumped. But Mona's like, no, I mean, I didn't get dumped. Someone at my age doesn't get dumped. I got left. Damn, I got dumped. She realizes it. Yeah. Angela stands up and goes over to her and is like, Mother, I'm so sorry. I know how much Max means to you. Max, who we haven't seen.
And however
seen or
long.
heard of, and so.
And she's been doing whatever.
And
I feel like, you know.
I know. Like, we haven't really, I guess, seen her out on dates, but.
I know, but I feel like the way Mona is, there's been
all horny with the
1
guy
or 2
last
or
week.
10 since last time we saw Max.
Yeah. Angela says, if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. And Mona says, you already have, dear. I paid for dinner with your charge card. Because I guess Max left her there then.
Yeah, Max really pulled a shit move here.
I feel like Max has been thinking about this for a while, and it just finally got to him.
Maybe
he
tonight
lost
was
it.
the night.
Yeah.
And I like that he gave her back the key.
Right.
Like, so I guess that tells you Max has been in and out of there, and we just didn't know.
No, yeah. I guess
he's been showing up.
Leslie Nielsen's been all over that backyard. We had no idea.
I suppose. And when you say backyard, you mean
oh, dear God.
the yard?
Oh. Samantha's like, I know how you feel, Mona. Like, Jesse was the same way. It was his way or the highway.
Oh, see.
Now they get heated.
Men bashing party right here.
So
it's on now.
Mona's like, don't you just hate the way men take you for granted? And Sam's like, yeah, never asking what you want to do. And Mona's like, yeah, always thinking they're right. And Sam's like, and never admitting that they're wrong. And then when they are wrong, it's their fault. And so Mona's like, tell it, sister.
Amen and hallelujah.
Yeah, they're going back and forth. She's like, they don't ever ask for directions. And she's like, "Who?" They're like, "Men, who needs them?" And they go walking out. Now, on the way out, Mona starts doing the "Free at Last."
Yeah, the Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
speech. Free at last.
Yes. But see, like, I feel like you would not hear this today. And it gets a huge laugh from the audience. But in today's climate, I don't think that you should take something that serious and then make a joke about it in this situation.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, I think
I
you're
don't
right
think
about that.
you definitely wouldn't see that today. But back in this time period, obviously no one even blinked an eye because the
apparently
audience
it was
is
a very
roaring.
funny situation.
Right. And it's probably an audience of mostly white people. So then Tony's kind of standing there afterwards and he goes, "I always ask for directions."
I know, but
Do you
that's
believe
Tony.
that shit? No.
No.
Do you believe Tony
No.
Micelli asks for directions?
No.
No. He gets out, what were those old map books called?
Triptych?
Is that what it was? The ones we used to have in the news vehicles at work?
Oh, I don't know. I know.
they
I'm
were
sorry.
like-
A triptych is like when you. Oh my God, this will show my age. Is before you were going on a big road trip, you could go to AAA, and they would make you a page by page map of where
really?
you're going. That's a triptych. I'm
okay.
sorry. That's not. I mean, it's a map, but like it would give you page by page of. It was like the reporter's notebook. It was like a long, skinny notebook, and it
okay.
would be. And I remember we were going through when we would go up to New York. We go by the page. We flip the
right.
oh, where are we on the triptych? And it would show you. You know, you're on interstate.
Yeah, we probably did that
whatever,
too, going to
40,
New York,
and you're
but
going.
I just don't remember.
And it was just this. They literally made a special flip book just for you, just for your trip, and it was actually pretty cool. It was the Navigator. It was the TomTom or the Waze or whatever. I say
so
TomTom.
I'm even thinking
TomTom's
later,
old.
like in the late 90s, early 2000s when we worked at Fox 35
Yeah,
in
those are,
Orlando. They had those
I
big,
mean,
thick books, and I can't
yeah.
remember what it was called.
I know what you're talking
and it had
about.
like every road.
Right.
That's funny. Now, when I was just in Georgia with my mom, they were planning a trip to take the girls on a little RV trip through Nashville or Tennessee.
Did they get a triptych?
No, but they have software that you can do it at home now, and it's just for RVs because like RVs need to know special where you can go and where you can't
Different
go.
roads and all that.
Yeah,
right.
so you basically plot where you want to go, and then it gives you a whole like pages that you can print out that then say like what roads you need to
Right, that
take
makes
and what
sense.
you need to avoid. But obviously, it's much easier because you can just do it at home now on your computer. All right, so and Tony's like, oh, and then Angela's like, I know, and she's patting him on the back. But come on, there was an episode that we didn't see where they got lost and Angela and Tony were yelling at each other.
Oh yeah.
Now, up in Samantha's bedroom, she is looking at what
A
is
picture of Jesse.
clearly a headshot of Scott Bloom
I know, it's great.
in a frame and listening to records. And she's like, do you remember this one? It played on our first date. None of these songs are recognizable. So whether they were recognizable at the time and
Right.
the licensing ran out or they were never recognizable, I'm not sure. And she's like, they played this on the radio on our first date. And then she just starts scratching the hell out of the record with
I know,
the needle.
so angry.
Then she puts another one on. Whose records are these? They better be hers. And then she's like, this one was the slow dance we did the night you asked me to go steady. And then she starts scratching that one.
I know, and then that one's destroyed.
Yes. Now, Tony is outside her room. Oh, my gosh. So there's this shot of Samantha, and you can see her, like, dresser with the mirror, like her vanity area. Mm-hmm. There's this awesome, like, 80s mirror, like a little makeup mirror that was probably made by Caboodle or something. Oh, my gosh. It's so cool. Our daughter would love that. So he heard that record screech. He's outside the door, and he opens it up, and he's like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, I'm fine. And he shuts the door again. He's like, oh, okay. And then he hears records screeching again as he leaves. Now, downstairs.
I know. It's not any better.
No. Mona apparently has lifted the TV and put it on the coffee table because it's very close.
I know it is.
She's got pillows piled in her lap, and she's watching some kind of show where someone is proclaiming their love. And then she's yelling, I'm gonna puke. So Tony's like, if you're just gonna sit here and yell at the TV screen, why are you watching this? And she's like, oh, because it's great. In the end, this guy's car bursts into flames.
It's Steven's car. And I wonder if she's watching something particular.
Oh, that's a good question. And I also love when they have these scenes because I bet it's a crew or someone associated with the show doing the voiceover of the actors on this on the TV. And when we've seen this before, which is way back in the Betty White episode, which the name I can't remember right now, they even mentioned the name Prudence, which I'm pretty sure was a callback or a call out to one of the writers at the time, Prudence Frazier. So maybe Steven is even just somebody's name on the show.
I know, yeah. I don't think it's anything particular.
So she's still yelling at the TV, and Tony just goes into the kitchen. So he goes in, and Angela's sitting there, and he's like, we have one woman upstairs scratching records. We have another one screaming at the TV. Like, we are not a happy family here right now. And Angela says, Tony, getting dumped is serious business. You need to give Mother and Sam some time and space that they can heal. Jonathan comes in right then.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh, hi, Siri.
Oh my gosh, Siri's talking.
Jonathan comes in and he says, it's not safe for men in this house. And Tony's like, what happened, partner?
It's not safe for men in this house.
Jonathan's like, I just passed through the living room and said, what's up? And Grandma said the toilet seat, and it was all my fault.
I just love that Tony's trying to like bond with him. Like, what's up, partner? Like, they're the only men in the house.
Right.
Like,
they got to stick together at this point.
That's so funny.
Angela says, it's not your fault. Like, Grandma's just going through this phase where she has very strong feelings about men right now. And Jonathan's like, what feelings? And she says, hatred.
Well, hatred.
And Tony's like, there's a lot of this going around. I've been very patient, but we got to do something about these two wackos.
Wackos. Like, why are they wackos?
And Angela's like, no, wait a minute. We have to do this logically. These women were hurt by men, and I don't think it's a very good idea for you to go out there because you are a man. And he says, I am not a man. I am a father. I am gender neutral.
Oh.
Yeah, how do you think that works, being the father of two daughters?
I don't know.
You think you're gender neutral, or do you think they don't want to talk to you? I don't think Tony's going to be seen as gender neutral.
No, not at all.
I mean, maybe a bit with Samantha, but not with Mona. He's not going to get anywhere with Mona.
No.
And then he's like, oh, okay, you're right. Okay, so I'll be at the library. Good luck, woman. And then he leaves. He picks up some books and a little jacket, and he goes out. Now, I'm not loving Angela's hair here, because it's like combed from one ear all the way over to the other ear.
Yeah, there's something weird going on there.
But that was a look. So Angela calls for Sam to come down the stairs.
Yeah.
And she turns off the television. And Mona's like, why did you do that? I was enjoying myself.
Apparently.
She's all set up here like Mrs. Wilmington when she was living on their couch for a while. She's got crap and popcorn and stuff all over the coffee table.
The mess.
So she brings Sam over to the couch and sits her down, and Sam's like, oh, no. And then they're both like, oh, come on. Angela's like, okay, it's time that we had a heart-to-heart. She says, I know, what you've been through. You risked a lot, and you lost, and but is it really going to help you to just sit around the house and be angry? You need to know that there's an important resource in this house that can provide warmth and sustenance. It's sisterhood. Oh, no, she says, do you know what that resource is? And Mona says, natural gas.
Natural gas.
And Angela says, no, sisterhood. And so she's kind of grasping both of their hands on either side of her. But they're just like, oh, whatever, lady. And she says, don't sell it short. Like, we need to bond together. And Sam's like, thanks for helping, but Mona and I are doing just fine. And Mona says, if we want advice about relationships, we'll go to an expert, like a Gabor sister.
A Gabor sister.
Yeah. So this was probably way more relevant at the time.
I know.
But Angela's like, okay, you want to use them as an example? Let's go with that. She says, with or without a man, the Gabor sisters have always maintained their joie de vivre. Is that how you say that?
I guess. I don't know.
I'm not going to pretend I know. She's like, you wouldn't catch them moping around the penthouse. Zsa Zsa popped up on the Merv Griffin show. Ava went on to do Green Acres. She says, they never let anything, they remained active and vital. They didn't let anything get them down. We could all learn from a Gabor sister.
I don't understand where this is going.
Well, I guess she's just trying to tell them. First of all, she's put on her like advertising hat. She's giving a presentation
I know, like
in a
she's
meeting
trying to sell
here.
it, but
Yeah. Second, I think she's just saying like, because Mona brought up the Gabor sisters.
I know,
and
but
she's like, but obviously Angela doesn't really know anything about how these women handled anything. But she's just trying to say that they picked themselves up and they still went on and they were very successful. I looked up the Gabor sisters a bit because I was, like I said, this reference would have been way more relevant at the time. And in looking them up, they were almost like the 80s Kardashians in a way. Yeah. So there were 3 sisters, which Magda doesn't get mentioned here. She wasn't an actress, so she must have been the least famous of the 3. Magda, Jaja, and Ava. They were basically known as like socialites. Jaja and Ava were actors and did stuff like The Love Boat. They popped up on Hollywood Squares. Like she said, Ava was on Green Acres. Yeah. And then, this is kind of sad. So Ava was the first sister to pass away in 1995. She was 76 years old. She was the youngest sister.
Oh.
And her mother was still alive. So they didn't tell her mother that she had passed. So I'm guessing the mother must have been old. And
or there was some kind of Alzheimer's or dementia
and
kicking in.
They didn't want to do anything to damage her health. So the mom died then 2 years later, along with the oldest sister, Magda. And Jaja didn't pass away until 2015. I remember when she died because it obviously wasn't that long ago, like 6 years ago. So that's Angela's little, that's her pep
I know, but
talk.
it doesn't, I don't know.
So she
goes
walks
nowhere
out.
fast.
She walks out and Sam says, she's your daughter. I just live here. But Mona's like, you know what, though? The crazy thing is she's right. So they obviously understood.
So she got something out of that.
Yeah. Which I guess just meant stop moping around and don't let a breakup get you this upset and just move on. Which is always easier said than done.
Yeah,
but
right.
It is funny now, like, as an adult who's been married for 106 years and hasn't had any of these experiences in a long time, whenever I see...
Who's that? What does that mean, 106 years?
I'm just joking, like we've been married forever.
No, I know, but sorry that it felt like 106 years.
I don't mean it like that.
No, I know.
But I just mean like I'm so far removed from anything like this.
Right.
So when I see any of these kind of breakups, I'm like, God, like, I don't know. If a guy isn't into you, just move on. But at the time, that wasn't easy. Right. And I struggled with that for a long time before we got together. So... yeah, I guess it's just something that you have to go through and you have to figure it out for your own. But I hope that our daughters don't spend a lot of time getting hung up on people who are not worth it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And not to say that there's anything wrong with the people. It's just, people are right for each other and people are not right for each other.
Right,
and there's really nothing you can do to change that. But the only thing you can do is remove yourself from the situation and continue to look for the person who is right for you. Okay, so now it's later. Tony opens the door and he's like, I don't hear any record scratching or screaming. Like, something's different here. This was an abrupt cut, and Kevin and I were trying to see if we could find a missing scene, and we were not successful. So it is a pretty abrupt cut from Mona and Samantha on the couch to then Tony opening the front door. But on Crackle, Roku, and Antenna, they all cut this way.
It's like they disappeared and Angela appeared on the couch and the door opened. It was very weird. Like, even a dissolve would sell it a little bit better. Like, time, change of time or whatever. I don't know.
It is possible that in the original run, there was a scene that was cut really early in syndication, so it's never made it to any of these. There's the bench. There's the bench that likes to pop up in places by their front door there. Okay, so Angela's sitting on the couch. He's like, I don't hear anything. And she says, they are getting ready to go out to dinner.
Yep.
And he's like, amen and hallelujah. She says all it took was a little sensitivity, a little understanding, and, women stuff. And he's like, I would like to thank you and your women things.
Your women things.
So now Sam and Mona come down the stairs and they are all dressed up. I don't know what Sam's wearing, but I'm sure at the time I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
It's like a mustard colored jacket. It's very Rhythm Nation looking, especially later when she takes the top jacket off. Mona's dressed up too, and they're joking about how the paparazzi is going to pop their lenses.
What?
I don't know.
Okay.
And Angela's into it. She's all excited for them. And then Tony's like, hold up. Where are you going? And Sam says, Mona's taking me out on the town. We're going to the hot new club, Africa. He says, how hot? And Sam's like, don't worry about it, Dad. I'm with a responsible adult. And as they go out the door, Mona says, hi-ho, Silver.
No.
Is that also a reference to Roy Rogers, Gene Autry,
it's a reference to the Lone Ranger.
Oh, okay. So I guess it's kind of still along
the same lines. Yeah, but
yeah.
that was his hi-ho, Silver, because the silver was the horse.
Oh, okay.
For Lone Ranger. I don't know.
Now, Angela's excited. She's like, my mother and your daughter, isn't that such a pretty picture? And then Tony's like, well, it depends on how you look at it. And she's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I don't, Sam's in a vulnerable state. I don't even know that she should be going out. And Angela's like, don't worry, but she's with Mother. And he's like, yeah, well, that's another thing. And she's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know Mona. And she's like, I don't know. No, why don't you tell me? So we kind of have like two storylines going on in this episode. We have the whole Mona and Samantha dealing with getting broken up with. And then late in the episode, they kind of introduce this twist, which is Angela and Tony kind of going head to head over whether or not Mona is a good influence on Sam. So obviously Angela knows Mona's history, but I think also Angela realizes that she's with a child and she would never do anything to endanger Sam or put her in any kind of uncomfortable situation. And I'm sure deep down Tony knows that too, but I think he's just worried that she's going to tell Sam stuff that he's so overprotective of Sam that anything that comes out of Mona's mouth is probably going to be too much for him. And this also makes me think, okay, so Angela knows that Mona is kind of off the wall, but she sees that her mother is more talk, I think, than anything. So this kind of almost makes me like Mona a bit more here, because like if Angela's vouching for the fact that she knows that Mona is kind of silly, but she probably figures she doesn't even mean half the stuff she says, that she knows she's going to be fine with Samantha. So Tony's like, you know what? Maybe we should drop this subject. But she's like, no, I want you to tell me. And he's like, well, all he says is,
Right.
And she's like, what kind of crack is that? My mother happens to be a wonderful person whom everybody loves. And then Tony's like, and
he goes on and on. That doesn't. But I don't understand why she's getting so upset. She knows her mother's reputation.
I know, but again, I think she thinks he's being ridiculous to think that Sam would be in any kind of danger being with her.
True.
Yeah.
But he's being a father.
Right. And Angela trusts Jonathan, obviously, with Mona, but I guess she figures, it's kind of a double standard there, and he's younger, but I don't think that Angela sees this as any different than if Mona was to take Jonathan out. She knows she's going to not let Sam drink, not let Sam go off with any guys, not put Sam in any kind of compromising situation. And of course she's not. Mona's crazy, but she's not that crazy, And I think this does kind of vouch for the fact that Mona's more talk than anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
So she says, as soon as he says, she says, you should be ashamed of yourself. And then she walks away. And Tony's like, what did I say? And she just yells, And then she goes back to the den that we never see. And then Tony just looks like, I'm getting yelled at by another woman now. Where's Jonathan?
I know, right?
I need to go pee and leave a toilet seat up somewhere so I can feel manly. So now we cut to Africa. And you see a woman get up from a table, kiss the man she's with, and walk out. And you may think, oh, that's just somebody in the background, but they're going to be back. Now we see Mona and Samantha come in, and they're both giggling, and they get seated at a table together. And Sam's like, Mona, you're so bad. Do you really think he believed that you were Zsa? And she's like, well, it got us this table. So a waiter comes over and he asks them what they would like to drink, if they want any water. So Sam says just water. And then he has like a bunch of different types of water, which
Right,
of course,
like,
this is,
named them all.
yeah. This is like so just the normal joke that you would get at a restaurant where they're supposed to feel a little out of water. Oh, fish out of water.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
mean
see
to
what you
have
did
it.
there.
Yeah. So he's like, we have French Alp, Adirondack, or our amusing little domestic blend. And so Mona orders the water like a champ. She knows. She's like, we'll have 2 Swiss Alps with a twist, non-carbonated and light on the cubes. And Sam's impressed. She's like, wow, you really know your water. Now a man comes over to the table and he asks them, are you alone? And Mona says, how could we be alone when there are 2 of us here? Or perhaps you think that because we are without a man, we are incomplete. But we are 2 very complete human beings, and we don't need a male companion. And the guy's like, I just wanted to borrow the chair. And then he walks away. Now, I looked this guy up. His name is Ray Vicente.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the stage manager for Who's the Boss? 189 episodes. So they must have just been like, hey, do you want to be in this episode? Or he asked them, can I be in this episode? And he is still working as a stage manager today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Penn and Teller, Fool Us.
Oh, okay. That's shot in Vegas. Yeah.
Okay. Survivor. Lots of big shows. Dancing with the Stars, like mostly live audience stuff.
Right.
And award shows and stuff like that. But yeah, so I thought that was great. That's really cute. And then in the 80s, he worked mostly on Who's the Boss, like I said, 189 episodes. And then also a bit on Married with Children and a couple others. So he walks away, and he doesn't even get the chair out of it. Poor guy. And Mona says he wanted us. And Sam's like, yes, definitely.
He didn't get the chair.
No, he just left. So they start looking over their menu when the woman who kissed her date comes back from, I'm guessing, the bathroom. And she goes up to him and she puts her hands over his eyes and says, guess who's back? And he says, is it the woman of my dreams?
Ugh.
And she's like, it better be or you're in big trouble.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So then she sits down and he says, did I ever tell you that I would die without you? And Mona leans back and says, why wait?
Why wait?
So terrible. But Sam's
angry.
like, come on, Mona, let's just ignore them and enjoy our evening. So this couple's name is Cheryl and Austin. We know this now because Austin gets down on one knee. And he's like, Cheryl? And she says, yes, Austin. And he says, will you make me the happiest man alive and become my bride? And she says, yes. And she's like, yes, yes, yes. And it seems like he's not sure. He's like, are you saying yes? And Mona's like, God, are you deaf?
God.
Why is Mona being so mean to these people?
I don't know. She's just angry.
Yeah,
in
I
general.
know. But it is funny. But it's like, meanwhile, these people are like having one of the most momentous occasions of their lives. And she's yelling at him from the table over. So he stands up and he's like, hey, everybody. She said, yes, we're getting married. So now just to like add insult to injury for Mona and Sam, 3 waiters come over and start singing. I looked up these waiters. They're listed in here as singing waiter, and I think only one had like a few credits. They didn't even have pictures.
Yeah, I ended up seeing that they had credits, but I didn't know for what.
Yeah, not very many. So they're singing, and then they go like the song goes on for a while. And Mona, once they're done singing, Mona's like, do you want sardines as an appetizer?
Sardines.
And then Sam's looking at Cheryl and Austin, and she's like, they were really, she probably will be a very pretty bride. And then Mona's like, yeah, it really was kind of romantic. But they're like, who needs it, right? But they're realizing that deep down it is something that they both want. So Mona asks Sam, you really miss Jesse. And she's like, no way. And then she says, I miss Max. And she's like, really? So she was just trying to be tough, but really she does miss Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, I miss the way he used to say, "Oh, Mona," when I embarrassed him, which happened quite a lot. Yeah. Sam says, "You want to hear something? I do miss Jesse." And then she's like, "I can't believe I just said that." And she's like, "I'm having such a good time, but I just keep thinking about him, and it doesn't make any sense." And Mona's like, "No, it doesn't, but it doesn't have to. It hurts, and we risked, and we lost. Sooner or later, we'll do it all over again."
Okay.
And then a really cute guy
I guess it's not encouraging. I don't know. Encouraging. Sorry.
I mean, it is, I guess.
No, I know.
It's just kind of what you do.
Yeah.
The only time I was really skinny was every time I would get dumped.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you could just break up with me for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, not mean it, but just don't let me know
Well,
that.
where am I going to go? I got to go somewhere.
So a cute guy walks by the table, and Mona looks over, and she's like, "Maybe sooner rather than later."
Yeah, right.
And
I mean,
they
that's
both start
Mona.
giggling.
That's
yeah.
some classic Mona
Yeah.
right there. And the guy that walks by, I wonder who that is. He looks like he's straight out of a soap opera.
Yeah.
Like from back then. It's funny.
There's two. So there is a Gary Sachs that's
Okay.
bar patron uncredited.
Oh, that's probably him.
That might be him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because no one else here would
That's
fit it.
funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
So now they cut to back home where Tony is pacing, and he's like, "It's 11:02 and they're not home yet. Where are they?" And Angela says, "Probably somewhere between the male strip club and the tattoo parlor."
That does not help.
No, not at all. But it does show how ridiculous Tony is being, because, like, where does he think they are? And just then he hears singing through the door. And the two of them are singing the song that the waiters were singing to the couple who just got engaged. So they come in through the door, and he's like, "You're drunk." And Sam's like, "No, it's just the water talking."
Water talking.
He's like, "What happened?" And she said, "We had dinner, we laughed, we got invited to a wedding. Life is good." And then Tony looks at Mona and says, "How good?" And she's like, "Just good, clean, 16-year-old good. PG rated good."
Oh.
And she says, "And now this R-rated lady is exhausted." And she says, "Goodbye."
I know. Mona's out.
Yeah, well, Mona, I guess she wanted to go for an after dinner
Yeah.
drink, but it's 11 and when does Carson start? At like 11?
I guess 11:30.
Yeah, Mona's home just then too. And Sam's just standing here in her little Rhythm Nation outfit.
I
But
know.
she goes over to Mona and she says thank you. And she gives her a kiss, and then she gives her a big
very
hug.
nice.
It is very sweet. And then she turns to Tony and she says, "I could have never gotten through this without her. She's
that's
the
very
greatest."
nice, too.
I know. Which is great. I mean, this is part of the reason why Tony wanted to bring Samantha into this situation, because not only did he want a better life for her, but it helps to have a couple of other women around that she can
Right.
talk to, which is
Right.
something that he can't provide for her right now.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And then she says, "Good night, Dad." And she gives him a kiss and she goes upstairs.
And then here comes Angela.
So Angela, who has missed this whole interaction, comes back out from the den all angry.
Just pissed.
Yeah, and says, let me tell you another thing about my mother." And he just says, "She's the greatest." And
Yeah.
he gives Angela a big hug.
I know, which is very nice.
I know. It's a really sweet. This is another really sweet hug that we've had. What was the other one we had recently? Oh, Yankee Doodle
Yankee
Micelli.
Doodle,
There was
yeah,
a
yeah.
really sweet hug. Yeah, so he gives her a big hug. Now, in the tag, they're all lined up on the couch, watching something on TV that's very sad. Mona's crying, and she's saying, "This is so sad." Sam's crying, and she's like, "No matter how many times I see this." Angela's crying, and she's like, "I don't think I can take much more of this." And then Tony's crying, and he's like, "Pass me the hankies."
Pass me the Yankees.
So Jonathan comes in. He's the only one not invited to watch the movie. Poor Jonathan.
I know. What was he again? Playing in traffic outside.
Or watch whatever it is they're watching.
Right.
And he's like, "What movie are you watching?" And they're like, "It's not a movie. It's the telephone commercial."
Oh,
And they all just keep crying. And Sam puts her head on Angela's shoulder, which is really cute too.
and I wonder. I bet you at the time there was some television commercial that
Yes,
was very
really
touching, that
yeah.
we can't remember now, like an
Right.
AT&T or I don't know.
But there were always, I mean, even And they still have them sometimes, like the Maxwell. There's a coffee one that's really touching where like the son comes home or whatever. So yeah, they've always been sort of those commercials that are known to get to people.
Oh, yeah, right.
And that's it. That's the episode.
That's the episode. Okay.
I gave this a 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. I'm really enjoying this season. You know, it's silly that we haven't heard of Max or Jesse in a while, but whatever.
I know. It's a sitcom. They got to do stories and blah, blah, blah.
Yes. I thought.
And you're right. I think they left it, since they left the relationship open-ended, the relationships. Sorry, I'm taking over on your rating.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just hard. Getting Leslie Nielsen to ever be back on the show was going to be difficult. So they had to kind of wrap up his story. And I think if they hadn't come up with this idea for Double Dump, we may have never heard of Max again.
That's true.
But then when they came up with this idea, they were probably like, oh, we'll have Mona been with Max with this whole time. We just haven't seen him. And then, you know, I don't know what Scott Bloom was doing at the time, but maybe, you know, depending on scheduling or whatever.
Right.
Or they just had this, because that was way more open-ended. Like, at least Marry Me, Mona, you could think that they ended it after she didn't want to get married. But
True.
Sam, the last time we saw him was prom night, I think. So it seems as though they would have still been together. But they just, I guess either they decided that they weren't going to use him anymore and they wanted this storyline, or maybe he had something he needed to go do. But but they probably don't know these things until they're like breaking out all the outlines. But yes, so I thought it was a good use of everyone. I really liked the putting, there's always this story writing idea of putting two characters who don't often interact together in an episode together.
Right.
And this is a really good example of that. Mm-hmm. So this took Mona and Samantha, who we normally don't get to see have a storyline together, and put them together.
Right.
And it made for a really good episode.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and then character-wise, it brought these two characters closer together. And it also kind of brought up a fun twist with Angela and Tony getting into a fight over it, because as much as Tony loves Mona and he normally doesn't judge her life at all, he doesn't want his daughter to be Mona.
Right.
And that was apparent in this episode.
Right.
But I thought it was great. I really am enjoying this season.
Yeah, I know. Season 5 has been a very good, enjoyable season so far. I mean, we're 6 episodes in, and there wasn't one that's like, totally like, oh my God, what is going on in this episode? Which we've had a few of those.
Yes, we have.
I give it a 7 as well. It was overall an enjoyable episode. I liked seeing the connection between Mona and Samantha, which you don't get to see a lot. And I think that, the connection felt real. Like, real in a sense where like, oh, well, they got dumped, and would Mona really be airing out her business that much with the entire family in that way? Maybe, because it is Mona.
Right.
But again, she's an adult, and would Samantha be that open? Anyway, I'm reading into it too much. I'm going off. It's late. So anyway, yes, I've enjoyed the episode. I gave it a 7 as well.
Who's the boss around here? Me or my mother? Or maybe it's you?
I went with Mona.
Nice.
Because I felt like Mona kind of, even though, we lost her a little bit when she's yelling at the TV and everything, I still feel like she had it all, kind of together, and she kind of made, just for the fact that if a younger child, I guess, is going through something, when an adult does something unusual, like takes them out or does whatever, kind of, it makes them feel special, and it's a different, and it just, I don't know. I think Mona just made Samantha feel better about the whole thing, and just kind of got her, quote unquote, through it.
Right.
So, and then, in the end, Mona knew, whatever, like she's going to move on, go to the next one, which she says it in the episode. Right. Like it is what it is. So, but yeah, I think Mona is the boss in this episode.
I agree. Yep.
Okay, good. I struggled with that.
I know, I wasn't sure at first, but then I realized it definitely has to be Mona, because...
it's not Angela. I don't know what the hell Angela was doing.
No, Angela was the catalyst to get them to go out together.
That's true.
And Tony was, I don't know, in panic mode. But
Tony was Tony.
I Mona is an adult woman who has been through this many times and on much deeper levels.
Right.
And so she kind of took this opportunity to help Samantha through her first breakup, in a sensitive way, but also a strong way.
True.
And kind of, paved the way for her for future relationships. Where I think Angela could have, and it worked out because Mona was also in the same situation as Samantha here. And Angela could have helped, but I think Angela was always going to be more, I don't know. Like, Angela had a harder time with relationships where Mona is easier at picking herself back up and moving on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so you can reach us at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram or Who's the Boss Pod 1 on Twitter. Go to Facebook, our page is the Who's the Boss Podcast page, or go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast, and there you can leave us a voice message. Next episode, we are covering Life with Father. Oh, this might be our first.
Oh, really?
It's a clip show.
Oh, that's going to be tough.
All right.
How do we handle that?
I don't know. We've done it before. Oh, actually, we have not done it before.
There's been we've done something similar to a clip show, but it wasn't.
They were all new scenes.
Right.
It was their memories, but new information to us.
Oh, what do we do with a clip show?
I guess we'll find out. No, we can't wait. We said at the beginning we're doing every single episode.
I know. Yeah, you're right.
If we've covered... what was that horrible spinoff with Fran Drescher?
Oh, yeah.
Then we got to do Life with Father.
Okay.
It probably won't be that bad. Maybe it'll be a quick episode and we'll maybe have some fun with it.
But like a clip show, basically, it's just old clips.
Yeah, but there is a storyline interwoven.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, you're right. We absolutely have to do it.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
thank you. Bye.
bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give a big thumbs up. And tell all your friends. And maybe you can tell your grandma, your mother, and your sister or brother. Maybe have no siblings. Tell your dog and cats. Bye.